Okay, ladies and gents, before we welcome our special guest, Dr. Beatty, I want to introduce to the stage Niall Brown. So Niall is our talent acquisition manager. He's been heavily responsible for some of the talent out in the Caribbean. So please put your hands together for Niall Brown.
Thanks very much. You've heard there, Niall Brown is my name. I'm with the company now about 16 months. Myself and my team are based in Dublin. We were initially brought in for more on the network side, but over time people have figured out we exist, so we're getting more work. For the people I haven't worked with before, you might have seen me from some unfortunate branding. I nearly pulled out of today because I'm still owed royalties from said branding, but I think I'll be waiting a while on that. So I suppose the first thing, I don't have a clicker here actually, or here is it? Am I going green, is it? No, okay, so I suppose why I'm here today to have a discussion is there's two kind of key pillars which we've been speaking quite a lot about. One was innovation, and the other, especially for 2016, is Year of People. And I suppose I was asked to, issue or platform a new initiative or a program on behalf of HR, and I just wanted to have a chat with you about that today. So firstly, we're calling it the Winning Culture Awards. And the first part of the Winning Culture Awards is to recognise, I suppose, consistent performance, consistent effort throughout a year. Okay, so to celebrate one's efforts and achievements throughout a year, somebody who's gone the extra mile is the first part of this awards, and then the second part is in the whole area of delivering on the initiative which was recently piloted in the network and in-home division, which is Bright Ideas, for which Anne-Marie O'Donnell has done Trojan work in putting together. So I suppose the name Active-O is action and performance, and this is both recognising and valuing and rewarding action and performance. So I suppose moving on to the first thing is, the question you might ask is, how do you identify an employee of the year? Is it just one of the guys you get on best with, or as a manager, or for various other reasons? So we're trying to bring, I suppose, a kind of a science to it, and essentially, as well as that, more than anything, it's to value people. I mean, in my experience working in recruitment and talent and human resources, for somebody to say you were an employee of a period, a quarter, a month, whatever it is, no matter what your position is within the organisation, it's a fantastic recommendation to have, and it's something that everybody remembers. And when I go through thousands of CVs every year, if I see an employee of a quarter, or I see promoted and that kind of thing, it really jumps out at me. And I think as well that it's very important that we appreciate the people we have. And a couple of gentlemen have had a couple of questions earlier on. It's not just about the leadership team driving the change and the innovation and the growth. It's the people on the ground that drive that. So how do you do it? I suppose, how do you identify? It's somebody who personifies the values more than anything else. You've got true grit, bold ambition, a winning spirit, thorough decency, and smart progression. So we all know people who may work for us, or you may work for them, or you work alongside, and they probably best personify those values. So that's a kind of a key thing here. There's your winner, the person who personifies that. So in kind of three kind of simple things, I suppose, it's the person who's willing to go the extra mile. There's a problem on a Saturday morning with laying some ducting, and a guy who wasn't due in that day, he decides to come in and give it a dig out. That's just an example. That person that's willing to do that on a regular basis. Obviously the value is somebody who has lived those, and just consistent excellence within their role. They mightn't have introduced any massive new idea. They mightn't have created a new initiative or whatever, but there's somebody who you've depended on, and somebody who has made your life a lot easier. and who has resulted in both the stakeholders internally and externally being happy to continue working with Activo. That then moves us on to the award. So obviously we're starting, this is in its infancy, but we're looking at maybe a yearly award of €1,000 or obviously a British pound equivalent for the person who's nominated and goes through. The other key thing here is, you might say there's only one employee a year, so you've 4,500 odd people, that's only one person. But I think, by going to one of your team members or one of the people on your team to say, look, I really appreciated your help and your work throughout the year, and I'm going to nominate you for this award. And I think even that as well, when we're going through tough times, going through projects and so forth, I think that's a fantastic kind of conversation and a positive conversation that you can have. So that's the first part of the awards, okay? The second bit, okay, is the whole area around the successful implementation of Bright Ideas. So Bright Ideas, as I said, piloted in home and networks, and it also marries very closely with Tim Crow's and his team in terms of driving innovation upwards. And we read, some of us read, or I read it on the plane, the Siemens piece of information where a lot of the innovation and ingenuity is being driven up. There was a quote from one of the employees, I used to have to leave my brain at the gate before I came in. But as the scientist William Ley once said, ideas are like rivers, they have many different sources. So I think this is to incentivize this, to recognize it and to drive it. So when we go on to the Bright Ideas, they are aligned to what are our strategic objectives in a number of different areas. So these all make sense. Cost saving, improved safety, positive customer experience, improve business processes, introducing the people who are doing projects with green belts and yellow belts and that kind of thing, increasing revenue, and obviously, our social footprint or our corporate responsibility footprint and how we contribute to society and the locations and localities that we work in. So people who are involved in a successfully implemented initiative, which has gone through Anne-Marie O'Donnell and the Bright Ideas initiative, will be celebrated here and will go through various levels of rewards, which I'll get on to in a second. There's just one thing I wanted to also mention, and it's something which Tim Crow has highlighted to me as well. Some great projects or initiatives or ideas may not have come through the Bright Ideas pathway. But if in retrospective analysis of a year of a project that was introduced, that will also be taken into consideration in the awards as well. So more than likely the majority will come through the Bright Ideas initiative, but for one or two that are special cases, they'll also be considered. Moving on then to the award levels, you can see here we've bronze, silver, gold and platinum. And they're obviously different levels, and they also, I suppose, represent different levels of how the idea or the initiative contributes based on those earlier parameters. What is the financial implications of the idea or financial positives? What is the process, attainments, that kind of thing. So the bronze can be awarded to somebody by their line manager. It's a €100 voucher, but again, it's a nice little thing for somebody. Silver and gold will be looked after by the divisional management structure. And again, the frequency there is on a quarterly basis. For silver, you have a €300 or British pound equivalent tax-free reward. Gold, it's 1,000. And then the winners of the gold, be they coming from either division, the three divisions, they will all go together for a final assessment by the leadership team. And at the end of the year, the successful idea that was implemented, or indeed as something that's outside of the Bright Ideas, will win the 5,000 tax-free award. Now it's important, the first award is for an individual. This award can be either an individual or a team, okay? So the team can figure out how to divide the money. So I suppose just to kind of finish it off, we will be bedding down a little bit more detail around the award ceremony. But I was asked a question recently, and this is kind of where a lot of this presentation came from, by Breed Burke, and it was, how do you know, how do you manage your internal talent? How do you recognize talent? How do you know who's getting on well in another division or whomever? And I said, look, in my experience, sometimes introducing a reward scheme for people's performance is an excellent way to recognize them. And secondly, you know, you can actually gather that talent. You can see that talent in a room at the end of the year. It also allows that talent or those achievers to meet with the leadership team and also to meet with their other high-performing peers as well. And it creates, you know, a learning environment. It creates horizontal thinking, and there's just so many advantages to it. The other thing as well, as you can see, it's a fantastic showcase for the bright ideas that were implemented. So, you know, an idea which could have been implemented over in Wakefield mightn't have ever been heard in Kingston in Jamaica. So again, it's a forum that people can come together, discuss it, also be appreciated in front of their peers, and you know, that they can mingle and so forth, and as I said, meet the leadership team within the business. So as I said, this is a quick overview. Anyone that knows me, you'll probably expect me to go on for a couple of hours, but this is a very, very quick overview. I will be sending on, myself and the HR team, with support from Mark and Niamh, more information and more detail on this. Please, if you have any questions or queries, or even recommendations and ideas, ironically enough, for this award scheme, please get in touch. And I'm sure it will change over the years, but we hope it'll become, you know, an endemic part of our internal kind of people-driven and talent-driven and process and innovation-driven culture. So,
can I butt in there?
Yeah.
Sorry, just everyone's looking for another Fitbit, so I found an opportunity to win another Fitbit.
I was told I
right?
wouldn't have to answer any questions.
In terms of the name of this reward scheme, which is an amazing initiative, we're currently calling it the Activo All Stars. So we're looking for new suggestions on names.
Well, actually, sorry to interrupt. We're actually Mark Thomas, who is an innovator, came up with the idea, the Winning Culture Awards. So that's the current name at this moment.
Okay.
Right?
Well, look, I'll still give away a Fitbit. Send me in your suggestions, right? You should all have my email address. If not, you know how to get it. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Okay. So, guys, that's it from me. Thanks very much for all your time. Sorry, yes?
Is it open to everybody? Is everybody in the room here today?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I tell you what it was. And there was a gentleman earlier on today made the point, I mean, is the culture, are we depending on the leadership team to drive culture downwards, okay? I mean, studies have shown culture has to be driven upwards as much as downwards. So these awards would, unfortunately, TJ, you can't be considered for this, all right, which is, I'm sure, is a blow. But level 1 and level 2 will be, let's just say, exempt from this for the moment. So it's really about celebrating from the bottom up, you know, every strand of the organisation.
There's another question over here.
Yes.
No, I'm Sandra here.
Oh, sorry, Emery. Yeah.
So probably one important thing to mention is that Bright Ideas has been rolled out to Network Info now, and in the coming weeks, probably the next 8 weeks, will be rolled out to the other 2 divisions. So everybody will have a platform to submit new innovative ideas at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So even the whole idea behind awards actually reflects how it should work. Anne-Marie with her Bright Ideas Award, and I know a lot of close work with Tim Crow as well on the innovation and engineering team, have looked at this in the network and in-home side, but the plan will be to roll it out across all of the divisions. So if you're hanging a piece of cable in Kingston, or you're laying ducting up in the Highlands of Scotland with George, you'll have the opportunity to you know, become a part of either the individual award or get involved in a team. Anyone else? It's okay. Sorry about the voice. I thought I had a very bad flu, but the girls who work with me said it's a mild sniffle. So thanks very much for your time.
Well done, Thank you.